Hello, I'm Michael Finn, holistic exercise and lifestyle coach, and today we're going to talk about the squat and how to improve your squat. And I'm going to cover a lot of different things. So it's going to be how to improve your squat, how to progress your squat to make it more challenging, how to regress your squat to make it something that's doable for you, what you need to be able to accomplish with your squat to just stay healthy throughout your entire life until the day you die, as well as what you should be able to do to be healthy, and what you should be able to do for performance aspects as well. Okay, so I'm going to cover all those different things in this video, so listen up and be ready. Alright, so squatting, to start off, people are always like, well, where are my feet supposed to go? Are they supposed to go, here? The thing's supposed to be turned out this way, that way, the other way. Alright, so real simple rule to follow. Number one, your feet in a squat stance should be in a position that allows you to squat down comfortably and as deep as you can go. That's comfortable for you. Alright? Some people are going to have a pelvis that's a little wider and it's pointing out to the side, so like the actual front of my pelvis, it actually points out this way, which is why my feet are turned out to the side a little bit. Other people, typically cyclists and skiers, they're going to have a much more narrow stance typically because they're used to being in pedals or they're used to being in skis, and so their stance will look a little bit more like this, where they're more narrow. So finding the stance where it feels like you're going to be able to squat the deepest is good. If you were out in the woods and you had to have a bowel movement and you needed to squat all the way down to have that bowel movement, it's like, where would you put your feet? Alright, so my feet would be about there. Okay, so it's going to be somewhere in that ballpark. Okay, and then also don't be rigid in that one spot. You can move your feet around a little bit between repetitions to figure out what's important for you. Okay, so that's feet position. Another big rule is our shoulders. So everybody's like, oh, I bend way forward when I do my squat, or other people stay upright more and that sort of thing. So it's a matter of where your center of gravity sits in your squat. So you see people squatting with bars up on their back or up in the front, right? And so the reason why we put it up around our shoulders is because that's where our center of gravity ends up staying when we're in a squat. So when you squat all the way down and come back up, your shoulder should stay over the arch of your foot. It shouldn't lead forward in front of the arch of your foot, and it shouldn't go back behind the arch of your foot. It should stay right there. Your hips are going to go backwards and your knees are going to go forward, but your shoulder should stay over your squat, which means you're going to bend at the waist a little bit, but it's more about the fact that your hips are going to go back, not the fact that you're bending forward at the waist. Your chest and your sternum will still be pointing straight forward. Okay, so that's the other key there. One other myth to bust is the knee. You'll hear people say, and I can't believe this is still around, but you'll hear people say that, oh, my knees shouldn't go over your toes. Well, that's a load of crap. Okay, so if I squat all the way down here, I'll do it to the side. If I squat all the way down to where I can touch the floor and that sort of thing, my knee is in front of my toe. It has to be there. Okay, there's no way for it to not be there. And then other things, if I go down a step, alright, if I go down a step like that, my left knee is like a foot in front of my left toe because my left foot is still up on the step, and you sometimes have to go backwards up steps. Well, that's the knee's in front of the toe, so it's natural. It can happen, and therefore you have to be able to do that. So forget, and especially if you play sports, your knees are going in front of your toes a lot of times, especially tennis players when they're reaching in there for a shot and that sort of thing. So we have to have the knees go in front of the toes. Okay, so there's the first part. There's a lot of the myth busting part on that. Alright, so now let's talk starting point. Okay, so we got our feet in a good position. I tend to like people to, I'm going to grab something a little bit heavier. I like people to start off when they first try a squat with about 10 pounds, like a 10-pound dumbbell or a medicine ball or something like that. up in front of the chest so that you hold it in what we call the goblet position. So if you have a dumbbell on its side, so that one side is right underneath your chin and the other side is hanging down in front of your sternum, and the heel of the palms of your hand are underneath the sides of that weight at the top, so that it's like you got a big goblet cup sitting right underneath your chin, and then it's actually touching your clavicle, all right? And so that you hold it there. This typically allows people to squat a little bit better. It turns on some of the muscles in the spine, and it just loads them that little bit to where it allows them to squat better, all right? So I'll typically start people off with a ball or a dumbbell, just so that I can see. So then you find that comfortable spot with your feet where you can squat really good and deep, and you can always adjust. And then we want to keep those shoulders right over the top of our feet, but the hips are going to go back and the knees are going to bend, and we're going to drop down and we're going to come all the way back up, okay? The weight should be evenly distributed between the heels, the middle, and your toes. All of it should be on the ground. I recommend being barefoot if possible. I understand if you're in a gym and you got to be in shoes, that's fine. But the key is, barefoot's better. We're born that way. We're designed to be that way. So squatting all the way down, coming all the way back up. Breathing could be either way. It's really great if you can exhale on the way down or inhale on the way up. But if you need a little bit more stability, you can inhale on the way down and exhale on the way up. All right? So that's our basic squat. Now, if you need a little bit of help, or you need a little cueing point or something like that, I've got my bench here. You could use a chair. And what you could do is you could back all the way up to it, and you could squat down and just lightly touch the bench and then come back up. And then lightly touch the bench and then come back up. All right? So we have that. If you want to get stronger in that bottom position, so say you're having a hard time even just getting to that bench, well, then you can drop down and you can hold at the bottom for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you can come back up. Okay, so that you hold for a good 10 seconds at the bottom, and that way you build strength at the bottom of your squat. That's going to allow you to go deeper. All right, so we build strength 15 degrees beyond the range of motion that we move, and isometrics, or holding in position, is the fastest way to build strength in the human body. So therefore, if you drop to that bottom of the squat, hold there for 10 seconds, then come back up and do your repetitions that way, the bottom of your squat is going to get so much stronger and so much more stable. And you're also going to be working all of your core muscles all the way around to hold that position too. So, and this is why, people talk about core. We work core all the time. All right? So, that bench is a little high for me. I barely, ideally we want to get all the way down to where our thigh is parallel, or one of our points for health. You should be able to squat down deep enough to where you can touch the ground without getting those shoulders in front of the middle of the arch. So I'm all the way down here, I can touch the floor, my shoulder is still right over my arch, and I'm actually sitting on this much lower bench. So now I've got a 12-inch, okay, I'm 6'1", and I have really long legs for my height. I've got a 12-inch box behind me now. I got that weight underneath my chin, and now I can squat all the way down, and I can lightly touch that stool and then come all the way back up. I can drop all the way down, lightly touch the stool, and come all the way back up. And if you notice, the second one, I moved my left foot a little bit. Why did I do that? Because the first one didn't feel quite right. So I moved my left foot just a small little bit, and it allowed me to get there easier. Okay? So there's that. You can also hover right above that seat for 10 seconds, and then drive out that way, so that you improve the strength at the bottom. Or for you explosive athletes that need to go from a standstill, so like a sprinter coming out of the blocks or a football player starting at the beginning of the play, you could drop all the way down slow and then sit on that box for a couple of seconds and bleed off all the kinetic energy, and then drive out of there real fast. Okay, so that you end up generating force. Okay, So that's great for performance aspects, especially those people that have a hard time getting out of their car or out of a chair or off the couch. You know, building that strength in there is really good, okay? And you can do all this anywhere. All you really need is just the furniture in your own home. All right, so that is part of it. Another big thing for health, you should be able to get up to the point. So I typically recommend people, start with the basic squat, do 20 repetitions, build up to 3 sets of 20 repetitions, and then eventually build up to where you can squat all the way down, touch the floor, come all the way back up, squat all the way down, touch the floor, come back up. You should be able to do that like 50 to 100 times, preferably 100 times for health without stopping. So your heart rate's going to increase a little bit, but it's not going to be horrible, but just dropping down, coming back up, dropping down, coming back up. All right? So there's that part. Now, if we want to develop the muscles in our legs, especially like right above our knees here, what are called the lower vastus muscles, what we can do, and if we want to strengthen up our knees, we can use little squat wedges here. And so you can just Google squat wedges or go on Amazon and get squat wedges. All right, these are just hard rubber to raise my heels up. And so I've got my heels up there on the wedge, and my toes are still on the floor. Our toes have senses in them like fingertips, so it actually gives you a little bit more balance typically too, because it's going to force your toes into the floor. And then we can do our same squat, but now I'm a little bit straighter. So now my legs are a little bit straighter and I'm not going quite as deep yet because I'll work into it a little bit. But we can develop the lower vastus muscles and improve the bottom of our squat once again. And once again, you could drop all the way down to the bottom and hold for 10 seconds down here at the bottom and then come all the way back out. Okay? So we have that variation there. So, other little rules. So, as we progress our squat and we want to add weight to our squat, I recommend sticking with the dumbbell in that goblet position until you reach the maximum weight of dumbbell that you have access to. Alright, so I've got dumbbells that go up to 85 pounds, and I've got medicine balls that go up to 70 pounds, so I myself will do that all the way up with those before I start grabbing a bar and putting more weight on it. Okay? So get good at your body weight first, and then develop in from there and progress. Okay? And go up that way. Now, for health, once again, I recommend people get to the point to where they can squat with males. I like them to be able to squat with 50 to 75% of their body weight, either in their hands, on the front of their shoulders, or on their back. So that they can do a good set of, like, say, at least 5, preferably 10, with that kind of weight. Say, and then females, I prefer them to be somewhere in that 40 to 60% of their body weight range. Okay, primarily because it's just hard on their upper body. Females don't develop the upper body strength that males do. But females can have just as much, if not more, lower body strength than males. So, but you have to support that weight with the upper body. Okay? So that's my big recommendation on the health aspect of how much weight you should build up to. Now, performance, athletes. So, couple of things. We want to develop our squat up for 2 things. We want to get our squat even stronger because we're going to be moving faster and more explosively. So for athletes, I tend to recommend for males, you should be able to squat at least 100% of your body weight, if not like 1.5 times your body weight. And depending upon the sport you're in, maybe even up to 2 times your body weight. But preferably at least 1 to 1.5 times your body weight. And females is pretty much the same point. I'll say at least your body weight, or 1.25 or 1.25 times your body weight. Okay? But same thing with females. I want them to build up to at least like 1.75 or 1.75 their body weight, to where they have that strength in their lower body to handle everything, as well as all of their connective tissue. And then with that comes along with, say, squat jumping, where we actually do jumps and explosive activities, and you'll see other videos on that. All right? So those are all of the myth busting and health aspects of your squat and the performance aspects of your squat and how you can do all that, and then regressions where we can actually go down and sit on something. You can also use a stick and hold on to a stick or a wall as you do it to help get your balance to regress it that way, and all those things are really good. Okay, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And you can reach me on Instagram at michaelfinn490, and you can always shoot me a text and let me know any questions you have. I have phone appointments with people all the time to help them through little sticking points and break them out of the issues that they are having. So, do lots of good squatting. You can do it a couple times a week. Really super healthy for you. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and have a happy and healthy squatty kind of day.